Let's get into my ranking of the Death Wish franchise. Let's do it. Hey, welcome back to my channel. Hope everyone is doing well out there. And it's Friday, folks. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Although I recorded this before Friday, it's going to drop on Friday. So have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week. But today I'm going to talk about my rankings of the Death Wish franchise. And I am going to include the 2018 remake starring Bruce Willis because it is part of the franchise. So I'm going to include that here. And during the month of December, I reviewed every Death Wish film. I was just in the mood to go down the franchise, and I did that. If you want to see a more in-depth review of each film, just scroll on down. You'll see them. Today, I'm just going to say a couple sentences about each film, and I'm going to move on to the next one. Although I tend to get long-winded, so who knows. But let's kick it off with number 6, with Death Wish 5, The Face of Death. This was written and directed by Alan Goldstein. This is his only entry in the franchise that he directed or written. Now, this was made in the 90s. This was Charles Bronson's last film, and it was the last Death Wish film until the remake in 2018. This was still made by the same folks that ran Cannon. Cannon had went bankrupt, and they created a new film company, but they were hurting, and they basically made this out of desperation for a hit, and the movie was not a hit. And you could tell they didn't have a whole lot of money to do this film. It looks cheap from the get-go. Charles Bronson's okay. This is probably his worst performance as Paul Kersey. Michael Parks is in the film, and he's entertaining as hell as the bad guy. He's chewing the shit out of the scenery, and he's entertaining. And Robert Joy's pretty good in this film as well. But you could tell that they just didn't have the money, and it's not the best directed one either. There's some entertaining action set pieces. I can watch this once in a blue moon, but in my mind, this is the worst Death Wish film. So at number 6, Death Wish 5, The Face of Death. Now at number 5, I'm going to go with Death Wish 4, The Crackdown. There's some entertaining action set pieces in this film, but this is also another film in the franchise where you could tell the budget wasn't there for some of the things they were trying to pull off. Some of the scenes look cheap as hell. There's some effects that don't work. But Charles Bronson's good in the film. Some of the other actors are pretty good. Some of the other actors aren't that great. But this was directed by J. Lee Thompson. I usually like J. Lee Thompson's directing. He does okay here. This isn't his best directed film. But Death Wish 4, The Crackdown comes in at number 5. Number 4... when I was younger, I wouldn't have put this one here, but at number 4, I'm going to give it to Death Wish 3. This is the one I rewatched the most when I was young. I know I said it at my full-length review. This is the most action-packed out of all the Death Wish films by far, although 4 and 5, 4 has a lot of action too. But this was when they really went bonkers with the action, because the first one's more like a thriller, drama-type film with some action in it. Number 2, the action gets a little bigger, but this one takes the action to a whole another level. The last 15 minutes is nothing but all-out war in these city blocks of this rundown part of the city. Now, as a kid, I loved this. I used to rewatch this one all the time. I rewatched this one more than the other ones when I was a kid. For good reason. There's a lot of action. It doesn't lag at all. It's a short movie. It's only like an hour and 32 minutes, I think. It moves at a brisk pace. There's a terrific scumbag as a villain in this film. But looking back on it now, I can still enjoy watching it, but it ranks at number 4 for me. So number 4, Death Wish 3. Number 3, I'm going to give it to the 2018 remake, directed by Eli Roth, starring Bruce Willis. I like this film. It's not perfect. It's not my favorite Death Wish film. Obviously, it's why it's at number 3. I think Vincent D'Onofrio is really good in it. Elizabeth Shue's good in the very small role that she has. I like this film. It's not perfect. I did have some criticisms of it if you watch my full-length review of it. Bruce Willis does okay here. It's not his best acting job, but it's definitely not some of the sleepwalking acting jobs he did in some of his crappy VOD films. But I like this film enough. I saw it in the theaters. I own it. So yes, at number 3, Death Wish 2018, the remake. At number 2, I'm going to go with Death Wish 2. I like Death Wish 2. I think there's a little bit too much rape in it. But I like Death Wish 2 a lot. I think it's well constructed for a sequel to the original film. They definitely up the action a little bit. And this is the film, in the first film, Paul Kersey doesn't get revenge on the people who killed his wife and raped his daughter. In this one, he specifically targets those gang members, although some other ones get killed in the process. But he specifically targets the gang members that are responsible for what happened to his maid and his daughter. So Death Wish 2 is at number 2 for me, and this was directed by Michael Winner. Michael Winner directed the first 3 Death Wish films, and then he never came back again after that. So yeah, it's well directed too. I think it's gritty. It's gritty like the first one, not as gritty, but it's gritty like the first film. And at number 1, the original Death Wish. This film over the years, I've always liked this film, but over the years I've come to appreciate how good it really is. This is a well-constructed film. It's not perfect, but Charles Bronson is terrific as Paul Kersey. He really pulls it off, considering Charles Bronson is always known as a tough guy. So when you see him as this architect, you kind of appreciate what Charles Bronson is doing here, and the emotions he goes through before he becomes the vigilante. Because he doesn't go out and start killing people right away. Even though this movie's not that long. The first film's only, an hour and 37 minutes or something, I think. I might have that wrong, but it's not very long. It's definitely under an hour and 40. And he definitely gets the range of emotions in there before he starts going out and taking revenge on people. And he, again, in this film, he never gets revenge on the people who did what they did to his wife and his daughter. In the second one, they rectified that, and he actually specifically targeted those guys. But also, we get an early film role for Jeff Goldblum, and in the sequel we had Lawrence Fishburne, so it's always nice to see those guys pop up even though they're playing complete scumbags. But yeah, I really like this film. I like the ending of it too, and I know the second one picks up, after the first one, a couple years after the first one. But I really like the first Death Wish film. If you've never seen it, I highly recommend it. So at number 1, the original Death Wish. My rankings were at number 6, Death Wish 5, at number 4, Death Wish 4, at number 4, Death Wish 3, at number 3, Death Wish 2018. Number 2 was Death Wish 2. And number 1, Death Wish. What would you rank these films? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. I'd greatly appreciate that. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video. I would greatly appreciate that as well. Next week, I'll be back with reviews for Lone Wolf McQuade, starring the always awesome Chuck Norris. The Crush with Alicia Silverstone and Carrie Elways. And then later in the week, I think I'm going to do The Mechanic or Assassination with Charles Bronson. We shall see. It's one of those two, but those are the 3 films I'm going to do next week. So I hope everyone has a kick-ass weekend, and I'll be back on Monday. See you later. Bye.